that the league is handled a little bit differently. So, and Matt's going to learn that too eventually. I don't think you're going to see him do some of the stuff that he did this past season.
Yeah, and I think this next pick here in Ty Smith, just kind of like how you had Svechnikov over Rasmus Dahlin, it's a little bit off the board compared to what I guess the consensus is you've got him above guys like Quinn Hughes, Noah Dobson, Evan Bouchard. What is it about Ty Smith that you have him, that you think he's essentially going to be the third best defenseman in this draft?
Yeah, he's a wonderful player. First of all, he's extremely mature. So he's about 5'11", 170, but first of all, he's an outstanding skater, outstanding puck rusher, outstanding puck distributor. And I love his maturity. You know, like you need that defenseman to calm things down. And there are times where I watched guys like Evan Bouchard and Adam Boqvist and Quinn Hughes, and they just go. And they take a lot of risks. And a lot of the times those risks don't really pan out. And so you put your teammates, in a precarious situation. The thing about Smith, and it really started at the Holinka last summer, was every time the ice was tilting, he was the guy that leveled it. And I love the fact that he had a miserable top prospects game. He and Noah Dobson were paired together. I think they were like a combined -8. It was brutal. It was the worst game I think I've ever seen a defense pairing have, considering how highly they were rated. I don't know why he's not ranked as high as I have him in other rankings. He ran Spokane's power play, which isn't easy to do considering they have Kyle Yamamoto and Jared Anderson-Dolan. So to me, there's a lot of Ray Bourque in him. I'm not going to say he's going to be as physical and as intimidating as Ray Bourque was, but there's a little bit of Bourque, a little bit of Doughty in him. When he gets bigger, he's a student of the game, and to me that means a lot.
Yeah, and this next guy, I'm not that old, but looking at Oliver Wahlstrom and finding out that he was the guy, the 9-year-old who'd scored that insane shootout goal in the Boston Bruins game, and then now he's up for his draft year, made me feel a little bit old, but he's come a long way from there, and now he's projected to go within the top 10.
Yeah, I think he's going to probably be a top 5 pick. My thing about Wahlstrom, I know that, first of all, he's a power forward. He's a menacing power forward. He's a fearless guy, but he also could kill penalties. He's also a guy that you could use in really any situation, power play, late in games, late close, whatever you want to call it. The thing about Wahlstrom was he began the year playing with Joel Farabee, and Joel Farabee was the guy that ran that line. The original center was Jake Wise, and he missed most of the season with an injury. So it was really Farabee's job as a winger to run that line. And it was all about getting Wahlstrom into shooting position and just feeding him, puck after puck after puck. And he was having a really good season. It wasn't really anything mind blowing. It was more like, okay, he's about a maybe top 10 to 15 pick. Well, Jack Hughes joins the team, and Quinn Hughes' brother. He's going to be probably the first overall pick in next year's draft. It was like a mini Connor McDavid in a way. And what they decided was they took Farabee off that line, and they made Hughes and Wahlstrom the centerpiece, really, of the NTDP's attack. And, of course, when you got a playmaker like Hughes, Wahlstrom's shot volume was about the same, but now he was burying a lot more of his chances, averaging almost a goal a game. So I think that when you look at that kind of production with an elite playmaker like a Quinn Hughes or a Jack Hughes, plus the fact that he was able to generate a lot of shots playing with a guy like Farabee, who wasn't even a center, he was a winger.
Yeah.
I think that overall package is going to make him. I think most scouts, you talk to them, they just love the kid. And plus, on top of that, he's smart. He was going to go to Harvard. He obviously decommitted. Now he's going to go to Boston College, I think. Watching that play, that the goal he scored at the Boston Garden a while back, he's a little bit different. He's pretty fancy with the puck when he has to be, but now he's like this brute that barrels over people and has an actual laser of a shot. So. 40-goal potential, definitely.
Yeah, and then the last guy you have in your top 10 you had just mentioned there in Quinn Hughes, and another guy that's kind of being touted as maybe the second best defenseman after Rasmus Dahlin. Well, what do you think you see from him? He had his season this year in Michigan in the NCAA, and he did a wonderful job, which is why he's ranked so highly. What do you think, the kind of type of projections you think for him when he comes out into the NHL?
What I love the most about Hughes, besides the fact that he had a really outstanding freshman year, it's not easy being a freshman defenseman in college for a program like Michigan. on top of that, he's a little bit undersized. He's listed under 5'11", is his upper body strength. He actually is he could be physical when it's required for him to be physical. He could take a hit. He could shove guys off the puck, bigger guys off the puck. So that's something that I didn't expect to see. I saw him play for the NTDP, and obviously you're playing in the USHL. Most of the guys you're going to play against are 17, 18, 19. But in college, in the Big Ten, playing against bigger guys, he didn't have a problem in the physical department. He's a huge gambler. Excellent skate, really fluid, graceful skater. Excellent with the puck, a great power play quarterback. Has an excellent shot. Very, very deft. He's nimble. He's agile. He spins and dekes and jukes. I think overall, though, if you just look at the way Smith is defensively, and you look at, I guess, Buchwiff's ability to really dominate and take over a game, I think he has a slight advantage over Hughes. But in Hughes' defense, he had an outstanding World Championship. Really had a great, and so that I wouldn't be shocked if teams watched that performance and said, you know what, this kid's ready. Let's draft him in the top 5 and put him in the NHL right away.
So now that we got through your top 10, looking at 15 through 45 this year, it seems like there's a lot of disparity in rankings around everybody. Does that seem kind of odd to you? It seems like that's the first time in a while difference in opinion between round 1 and round 2.
It really all depends. You see, I assess this draft as a deep draft. I assess this draft as having first-round quality well into the second round, if not in the early third round. And what I mean is by that, people say, well, how could you tell? Number one, what I use is the players that are playing in men's league, the European kids mainly, European kids in men's leagues that are doing well and getting top 6 minutes. So we have a lot more this year than in previous years. Also, the number of first-year eligible kids, 17-year-olds, guys born in late 99 or first half of 2000, that are the best players on their team, or at least one of the top 2 players on their teams. You have a lot more players this year that have that could say that than last year. The bigger factoid that I found is interesting is that in the World Junior Championships, it's rarely do you see a lot of first-year eligible kids, 17, 18-year-old kids. So last year we only had about 12 in 2017 at those games. Now, this past World Junior Championship, there were about 27. So that means that international teams were put more responsibility and were more inclined to play a first-year eligible kid. Even Russia, which never has first-year eligible kids unless there's someone special, had Svechnikov playing for them this year. So when you look at the fact that the amount of first-year eligibles at the World Juniors doubled from the previous year, and the fact that we have so many European kids that are playing well in men's leagues, and the fact that we have so many young 17, 18-year-old kids who are the best players on the team, I think this draft is super deep, and you are going to get a first-round quality kid late in the second round.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting because when you see this all the time when you look at different rankings, but you'll have, a guy like Akil Thomas on some rankings, he's as high as 13, 14, 15. You have him as the 19th best player. And then in some you'll see him, he's a mid-20s pick, and others he's a late 20s, and in some he's as low as the beginning of the second round. And I think you see that with a lot of players. Ryan McLeod's another one. Isaac Lundestrom is a third guy that's like that. Dominic Bach. There's a lot of those guys that on some people's list they have them a lot higher, and then others you have them a lot lower. And I know you see that every draft, but this year it just seems like there's a lot more of those types of guys.
Yeah, let me tell you, I can't speak for anybody else, but I'll give you an example of how a kid will leave an impression on me. Yeah. So let's say if I watch a game for the first time, whether it's in person or stream, it doesn't matter. If I watch that first game and that kid leaves a really, really good impression on me, then it's locked in. I'm like, okay, so he has the potential. Now I got to see him repeat it, and I'll watch him maybe 5, 6, 7 more times over the next month to see if it's just a shot in the dark, some type of anomaly, or this is really how he plays. It's also the reverse if he has a bad game. What I always do is I always go back and watch film, and tons of film. Always going back and watching film to make sure if I didn't miss anything. And so there are times where Cale Makar last year, the first few times I watched him, he was terrible. And I said, you know what? He's exciting, but he doesn't has his hockey senses. Forget about it. It doesn't seem like he really cares about anything else but just skating and shooting. And then as I watched him as the season progressed, people told me, said, hey, look, you got to give this kid a chance. So I think when you get a huge disparity in the rankings, it's really just you catch a kid on a bad game, and it kind of sets the impression, or you catch him on a good game, and then from that point on, it kind of sets the tone for how you're going to rank that kid. I don't really like to use international tournaments too much to really weigh, like if a kid has a bad 5 games or 4 games because he had to travel cross country and play with a bunch of teammates he hasn't played with in about 6 months. I'm not really going to ding the kid for it unless it's something really egregious where you could tell he's being lazy and is causing problems for his team. But yeah, I mean, everyone has different things. On me, I look for poise. Poise is a big one for me. Hockey sense, the ability to outweight for a defenseman. If a forechecker's barreling down on you, what are you going to do with the puck? Are you going to just kind of throw it away and hope make the puck someone else's problem? Or are you going to basically make a simple little head fake or turn or pivot that's going to buy you that extra second? Little things like that is what I look for. And so the guys that do that really well, those guys are going to get ranked really high.
Yeah, and I think that kind of transitions into probably the guy who's easily the most controversial pick in this year's draft, and that's Ryan Berkeley, where the offense is there, and he's arguably one of the best in the draft. If you're looking at his offensive game and what he can do with the puck. But then the issues come with the defensive side of the puck, and sometimes he just kind of gives up on plays, and then there's questions of issues he has off the ice. Those have all caused his stock to fall. Well, you have him ranked 47th in your eventual top 500. Give us a little bit of insight on what's kind of caused this controversy around him this year.
The thing about Merkley is, forget about the I guess the attitude thing, because not every kid is going to be vanilla and say what you want to hear. I mean, there's going to be kids that, whether they're cocky, arrogant, confident, whatever you want to call it, that there's been plenty of superstar Hall of Famers that were like that when they were teenagers. Yeah. So, and that's the key, is that they're teenagers. The issue that I have with Merkley is that he's been told since he was about 15 years old, when he was 16, when he made his debut in the OHL, and he was the first overall pick of the OHL draft, so he was always a high prospect, is that, we want you to push the puck. We want you to play with pace. We want you to create plays and be flashy and run the power play. But at the same time, you need to slowly but surely work on your defense, work on your positioning. There's a time and a place to take a risk. There's a time and a place where you got to bust it back and cover for your teammate, communicate well with your partner, things like that. And I'm not an insider with Guelph. I don't know what is said, behind closed doors, but it's clear that the Merkley that you saw when he was 16, from a defensive standpoint, is the same Merkley that you saw at the Under 18 World Championships just last month, or with Guelph later in the season in the OHL. So that tells me that that's a kid that doesn't want to change. He's very happy with what he does. He relies very heavily on his brilliant playmaking ability and his skating ability, and everything else doesn't really matter. That's someone else's problem. At least that's what I see. I'm not saying that he says that, but that's the kind of, when you watch him play and he makes the mistakes that he makes, and he makes them again. Now, that's the thing. It's one thing if a kid makes a mistake, he goes back to the bench, the coach reads him the riot act and says, hey, dude, don't do that again, or you're going to be stable to the bench, or I'm not going to, I'll play somebody else. And usually a kid will learn from that, and you'll see them give more effort. The thing about Merkley is he does it on a shift-to-shift basis. Yeah. So now that ties into the reported or the allegations that he's uncoachable and that he's a bad teammate, or he has issues with teammates, and that he doesn't listen to his coaches, and he has a little bit of an attitude problem. Now, I can't confirm that. I know I've had people tell me, no, it's real, it's for real, but I can't confirm that. What I can confirm is that what he does on the ice, it kind of mirrors that people that have that kind of an attitude. You know what I mean? If you don't care and you want to be uncoachable because if you don't want to listen to what your coach tells you, then how is that going to translate to the next level? Now, to be fair, Patrick Laine, when he was, I think, 15, he gave his coach the bird. Okay, he might have been 16. It was some tournament, or it might have been in junior league play. I don't know, but apparently the coach was saying something to him, and he turned around and gave him the finger. All right, 15, 16 years. Now, do we care about that now? No. He's an elite goal scorer, one of the best in the league. Obviously, he's matured, and he probably, if you read some of the quotes, he's definitely, contrite. He said, hey, I messed up. I was heated. It happens, blah, blah, blah. The other reason why I'm ranking Merkley so low, though, is that usually players that have this type of stuff against them in their draft year, it usually, where there's smoke, there's fire. It usually doesn't go away. So I think he's still a great talent. I think if you have multiple picks in the first round or second round, he's worth a shot. I wouldn't make him the center